Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we're looking at the SH Figuarts Chaos DUKEMON. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I haven't followed Digimon in a long time. It could be DUKEMON, could be DUKEMON. I kind of doubt that. But you guys know who he is, and you can read, so that's good enough. So this figure is probably the coolest looking lousy figure I've looked at. I'm very torn on this guy. I really like the character design in general. You can see the artwork on the packaging. He's a boss, as far as I can tell. I'm guessing he's a really cool, strong character. The figure kind of captures that, but then falls so hard flat on some issues with this guy that I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to recommend this guy or not. I guess we'll see by the time we get to the end of the review. So let's get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands roughly about 19 centimeters, a little bit less, which makes him just about 7.5 inches. So he's very tall, and he's much thicker and cooler looking than the Omegamon figure, which I reviewed recently. I'm particularly biased toward the color scheme. I think the silver and the pearl white and the metallic blue and the black, it's just fantastic. It looks really, really cool. And he's got a really cool character design, so two things that are really helping this figure stand out. As far as execution, paint job, fantastic. Sculpt, pretty darn good. Articulation and other problems really knock this guy down though. So let's look at the accessories first. So the first thing I guess you could say is this. Whatever this piece is, not well done. Why is the hinge offset and there's a big cutout on there? They should have made the entire part the hinge so that when you did this, there wasn't a big pizza slice taken out of it. So that's a bit of a bummer, but that's not a huge deal, so we can live with that. Now we can look at the cape, which is hinged on, or it's pegged on with hinges at the very top. So each piece is hinged and pegged individually, but there's a very obvious sharp cut down the middle, which wouldn't be a big deal if you could just leave it like this. However, this guy, if you look at his feet, they are not flat. They're huge, but not flat. So he is sculpted in such a way that he wants to lean back. And the cape wants to pull him back also. So I'm not saying it's impossible to stand him up without a stand, but it's impossible to stand him up without a stand. It's just really not good. And here's the problem that comes from that. The peg for the stand is underneath the cape, or the peg hole. So when you close the cape, you can't do it. In order to have him standing up on the stand, you need to have the cape split apart. They could have put a cutout in the cape for that to work, but that's really your only option for getting him to stand. And that doesn't look very good. So that's a huge distraction from the rest of the otherwise really cool looking figure. You have to split his cape like that, and that's really lousy. And that's the main problem with this guy. I hate that. Now you could, if you wanted to, use the hinges and bring the cape up and bring that up and make it look like he's attacking or something like that. But that's gonna really limit your posability or your posing options. I mean, you can see it can be done to where he still looks like he's a really cool character. Obviously, I just threw him in a pose, but it can be done. But if you just want him to stand there with the cape on, it's just not gonna work out. It's a big problem, but it is what it is. Let's get these guys off so I can review the figure. Otherwise, I do want to mention the way they did this plastic. It's so glossy and nice looking that I really like that contrast up against the painted parts on the other part of the figure. So that's cool, but it's a bit of a bummer that it doesn't work so well. We do get this, which is a really cool looking shield. It's in this kind of gunmetal paint for the dark parts and then pearly white for the rest. Sculpted well, painted on the inside. So that's really cool. And just for comparison, it's huge. So that's cool. Like I said, this is a really cool figure that just is a big problem. We also get this giant, what are these things called? I don't know, big pointy thing. We'll call it that. Nice silver paint here, pearly white, nice metallic blue. Very, very cool. And that just swaps out for a hand, actually. So I can show you that. All you want to do is pop the hand off. If you can pop the hand off. There we go. And then this pops on. Like that. So he's got a giant, wow, what is it? what is this thing called when you ride the horses and you try to poke each other? That's what that looks like to me. So that's kind of cool that he has that. So with the shield and with that, what is that called? I can't think of it. Anyway, that's a really cool set of accessories. So he gets fist hands, you saw him on the figure already. And then he also has these guys, which are just your standard style pose hands, which look pretty cool. And he gets this interchangeable forearm for the one side. Actually, I guess it could be for either side. And that goes in here so that you can actually have him hold jousting, right? That's what it's called. I don't know what the weapon itself is called, but is it called a joust? I don't know. But that replaces where his forearm goes, so he can hold that. And I'll show you in the photos these things in actual practice. But let's look at the figure now. So he's got some cool accessories. He's got a really cool look, just a really problematic cape and standing situation. The head itself is on a double ball peg, so it will move around. No problem. And there's a nice cutout for it, so that's good. And the detail on the face is pretty nice. I do like that. Overall, the paint job on this guy is good. I don't have really any complaints about it. It's just that cape issue and the standing issue. The shoulder pads are on ball pegs, so they will move around. Get out of the way if you want them to. We have a butterfly joint for the shoulder that lets the arm come forward. Then we have our ball peg and hinge. Basically full range of motion for the shoulder. We have our bicep swivel. We have a double jointed elbow, but you don't get too much better than 90 degrees out of it. I can live with it. You already saw we have ball pegs for the wrists. The torso articulation's kind of complex for not doing very much. This front piece is hinged, but really, you just have a couple of ball pegs mixed in there. So he can lean a little bit from side to side, he can rotate around, and that's about it. You're not going to get a ton out of it, but it's probably good enough. For the hips, we have a swivel that lets the entire thing swivel forward. That's basically that split between the silver and the black. That's your swivel. Then you get a ball peg from the black down into the hip, which will let the leg rotate and come out a little bit and move around a little bit on that black piece. But unfortunately, you can't really bring the legs out to the side just due to the sculpt. Otherwise, you have pretty good range of motion. You have double jointed knees, which work really well. Not the best looking design, but they are super effective, so that's pretty good, I guess. And then for the ankles, we have a ball peg, I guess I'll use this one, that lets the entire blue piece move around inside that shin armor. Then we have a hinge and a ball peg for the toe, which is really not useful because the heel's all the way back here. So at no point is the front of the foot on the same plane as the heel. So that's why he really cannot stand. You have to bring the foot all the way forward and then kind of do that if you want to try to get him to stand, but it still won't work. So that problem mixed with the cape problem really makes this guy a tough figure to recommend. It looks so cool. It's such a cool design, but has such a serious problem that I don't know what to say. So what I will say is you have the information now so you can make your own decision on whether or not you want to spend the money. Really cool looking figure, really problematic problem. So the decision is yours. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.